what's magical about the three sisters is that together is what will keep you alive. Together, they all activate each other. So what one lacks in one piece, another one makes exactly, which is why these are also grown together.
Cultura Shock family, my name is AKE. Today we have a very special episode. Estamos con Claudia Serrato en su cocina. Muchas gracias por abrirnos tu cocina.
Oh, for sure.
Oh my
pleasure.
So this is very special because she's an anthropologist. She's a co-founder of Across Our Kitchen Tables, and she's also, incredibly so, an indigenous cuisine chef.
Yes.
Pero a ver, what pulled you to study specifically indigenous cuisine?
You know, for me, I was in college and I was beginning to understand what does it mean to decolonize my diet.
Oh, wow.
How do I pursue that? And, you know, at this time I was attending a lot of ceremonia, becoming reinvested in my comunidad. And I had this revelation where I was like, well, what did my ancestors eat? Like, really? Like, what does it mean to eat, you know, an ancestral-based diet?
Okay.
And so I went down the rabbit hole and, you know, I came to find out that food that I had initially grown up with, and it wasn't really so much that it was dominant in my diet. It wasn't. But like chicken, beef, pork, dairy products. And, you know, I had found out, you know, with my research back in my early days that it was introduced from the Spanish. And I thought, well, what did my ancestors eat though before that? And so that just took me down the rabbit hole, and I began to rediscover or more so I would say, build a better relationship with food in understanding, you know, what it looks like without that kind of influence.
Okay, so what does the Mesoamerican diet include? Or what are misconceptions?
Well, the misconceptions, one is that it's a meat-based diet.
Okay.
It isn't. The truth is that Mesoamerican diets are predominantly 80% plant-based. So by plant-based, I don't mean there was no proteins, animal proteins. There were, but it was seasonal. So you would have like from larva, chicatanas, which are the ants or the hormigas. You would have grasshoppers after the waters come in. You would have your quail, you would have your venado, you would have your rabbit, you would have, my abuela, she used to harvest rattlesnakes.
Oh, wow.
So you would have your culebra, and, you know, so it was just an eclectic of these foods, but they weren't daily. And they weren't every season. There was a proper time for them, and the way you would integrate it, a lot of the food was dried. So it wasn't like the way we do now with, you know, carne asadas and, you know,
trying to preserve the protein.
Yes, exactly. And then two, because we knew that when you eat something like this, for example, which is the Three Sisters, which was very, very important in Mesoamerican diets.
Those are the Three Sisters right
Yes,
here.
right here. It's, you know, so you have your corn, your beans, and your squash. This is a full protein source.
Okay.
So this here is going to give you all the energy you need. Like, you can survive and just eat this. And so, so again, there really wasn't a strong need for those foods. So we are talking very basado de maíz, along with other wonderful wild greens, so a lot of quelites, and then two, just a variety of squash, variety of potatoes even, and then we have grains like amaranto.
Okay, amaranto is what exactly?
It's amaranth.
Okay, I'm learning this for the first time.
So
okay,
amaranth, it's a beautiful, it's a grain, and so it's very equivalent to like quinoa, for example.
Okay.
And so you can pop it, and when you pop it, it looks like baby little popcorn.
Oh wow, yeah.
But this is, again, is a super high protein source.
Okay.
The Spanish were really hesitant about it. They believed that if they consumed these foods, it would make them less superior. They would lose their prestige, and when it would make them quote unquote indigenous, and they feared that. And so actually amaranto was banned for a very long time because of the fear and the connotations and, you know, how it represented earth. And deities as well. But what's really beautiful is that you found a lot of maíz foods with amaranto. So these actually paired very well as well.
Wow. I was gonna say, speaking about decolonizing our diets, I think that's work that is incredibly important.
Yeah, very important.
And it takes a lot of research for something that's fairly simple, right? So if you're saying, why is it that our ancestors knew about this, right? And it was high protein and it was very healthy for them, but nowadays we don't know about this. Like, how is it that we forgot that history?
Yeah, you know? I love that you asked that question because the truth is that because of the colonial structures that were embedded, we were made to be ashamed of our food. There was a lot of shame to that. And in Mexico, there was a huge push in the 1800s and late 1800s to create a national identity, a national cuisine.
Okay.
And so the foods that were featured were European foods. So like wheat and, olives and, a meat-based diet. And so all these foods sort of became at the bottom. So to be affiliated with this food, it meant that you weren't progressing. It meant that you were not evolving, right? Acculturating to the new shift in power. And so a lot of these comidas became just comidas de casa. Or some folks, they have different titles and different names for these foods. But ultimately, it's what happened. And
there's erasure.
There's a lot of erasure that goes on because the attempt was to erase our indigeneity so that we can become quote unquote more European.
Which I think is incredible that Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, right? Incredible. First of all, an amazing movie and the way it presents culture. But now to have a Mesoamerican twist, right, with the Talocan, a tribe. Noted the Talocan is not an actual tribe that exists. They're meant to be descendants of the Mayans, not actual Mayans, right? Yeah. But just perceiving what they could have potentially been. It's all fictional, and they're an underwater tribe, right? Yeah. So I think it's so incredible that now they're bringing that forth for us, for our community, right?
Yeah.
What do you think is the importance of having that representation?
I feel that it lifts that veil. It allows us to see ourselves, right, on that screen. But more so, some of the deities that we love and we have grown up around, and to see their characters recreated it's just powerful. It's symbolically powerful. I feel that it also affirms our identity and it also affirms our right to be here.
Definitely. I think it's incredibly important because if, some culturally, if there's ever been an embarrassment or you want to not affiliate yourself, this is a moment to finally reunite with your roots. Yeah. Or it's understandable. This country sometimes makes you feel that way. Yeah. You don't have to, right? And Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, we're here. Y ojalá que haya más de estas cosas.
Yes.
And today, we're gonna check out some traditional Mesoamerican food. Okay, Claudia, llegamos a lo bueno, la comida. We're gonna be presenting 3 dishes, right? El atole, que está hecho con
amaranto.
Tamal, y luego 3 Sisters combo meal, ¿verdad?